Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this webinar. For things, I'll hand it over to our moderator, Dr. Prakash Singh.
Good evening, Ashok. Good evening, everybody. President sir, should we start? Shinde sir.
Yes.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Once again, I welcome on behalf of Maharashtra Orthopedic Association all of you for the 4th day of MOA Foundation Week celebration. As you know that we are celebrating this week as the MOA Foundation Day, and Maharashtra Orthopedic Association was formed on 1st May 1983, and this week we are going to celebrate with different activities. And I definitely, as there is a second wave of corona in full swing, the topics are selected according to the for the prevention of the second wave of corona, and the theme is win over the second wave of corona. We have three fantastic talks. First by Dr. Raman Gangakhedkar, second by Dr. Gade Gunia and his team, and yesterday we have listened Dr. Ishwar Ginda on drug therapy in COVID-19, when, what, and how to use. And today we have an eminent speaker from Pune, who is in charge of the Janakalyan Blood Bank, Pune, Dr. Atul Kulkarni, and he will be enlightening us on convalescent plasma therapy need of the hour. As you know that plasma therapy is proving very important in treating the patients of COVID-19, and this is one of the very important factor in treating COVID-19 patients, and especially in the second wave, the plasma therapy has become a boon for COVID patients. So without wasting much more time, I will request our President, Dr. Shinde sir, to give a welcome address for today's meeting. Dr. Shinde sir.
Good evening, friends. On behalf of Maharashtra Orthopedic Association, I welcome you all to this wonderful webinar. As you all are aware, we are celebrating
सर बहुधा तुमचा माइक अनम्यूट झालाय.
सरांना बहुतेक याचा रेंजचा प्रॉब्लेम असतो, नेटचा प्रॉब्लेम
I think his internet is unstable and it's hang. Go ahead, Karna sir.
Good evening, everybody. On behalf of Maharashtra Orthopedic Association, I welcome all faculty and all the members for this MOA week program now. Unfortunately, I could not attend for last 2 days because I was not well, and today my RT-PCR also came negative, and so I decided to join today. So I Prakash Singh, who has taken over this responsibility in a fantastic manner as usual. He's doing it for almost last right from the beginning of this MOA day for last 3 years, and the theme is how to tackle with all the second wave of corona COVID-19. And we have got wonderful lecturers also, orators to give this input on the important aspects. And today we are going to have the information about the plasma donation and its importance, and everything about plasma in COVID-19. And we have got a excellent orator, the in charge of the Janakalyan Blood Bank, which is hardly 200 meters from my hospital, Dr. Atul Kulkarni. And I welcome Dr. Atul Kulkarni on behalf of Maharashtra Orthopedic Association, and I request Dr. Prakash Singh to continue with the webinar. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, sir. I welcome you also on this platform and wish you a very healthy recovery. Now I will introduce Dr. Atul Kulkarni. Dr. Atul Kulkarni is the director in charge of the Janakalyan Blood Bank, Pune, India. His qualifications are MBBS, Diploma in Pathology from Pune University, Diploma in Transfusion Medicine from CPS Mumbai, certification in Internal Auditor for Blood Bank NABH, Internal Auditor for Hospital NABH. Affiliations are member of the governing body and technical committee of SBTC Maharashtra, Director Janakalyan Chain of Blood Bank and Medical Services, lead assessor of NABH for the blood banks, assessor of NABH for entry-level hospital. His areas of interest are quality in blood transfusion services and voluntary blood donation movement. He is a regular platelet donor. So he is working by example. He is on the front, and his work in plasma is exemplary. Actually, I contacted Dr. Dilip Wani sir, who I know since many years, and I requested him to give the talk. But Dr. Dilip Wani said that Dr. Atul Kulkarni is a master in this field. He has worked a lot in this area, and he will be an authority to talk on plasma donation and it. So Dr. Atul Kulkarni has agreed to our word, and he has been here today to enlighten us on the convalescent plasma therapy in need of our. I request Dr. Atul Kulkarni to give his presentation. Thank you. Yeah, Dr. Atul, please. Dr. Atul?
You have to unmute, Dr. Atul Kulkarni, you have to unmute.
Thank you. I think I must be audible now.
Yeah, you are audible. Please share your.
Thanks a lot, Prakash sir, for your kind introduction. And I must congratulate Maharashtra Orthopedic Association for taking lead and creating awareness in the second wave about COVID and various aspects so that we can tackle this crisis nicely. I must thank Shinde sir, President, Secretary, Dr. Karne sir, for giving me the opportunity for this. So as you are aware, I am actually a transfusion medicine specialist. So I will like to focus more on is first part, plasma donation, current relevance, how we have come ahead in this area. But my limitation will be I am not using the plasma on day-to-day basis. So there will be limitation on my comments about actual what results the patient has, how they have benefited. So that is currently limitation from my perspective. But we'll try to cover different aspects of convalescent plasma, COVID plasma donations, which is a currently need of ours. So I will begin with my presentation. I will try to be crisp so that we could able to interact in question and answer session, so that it will be very useful to clear doubts. As we know, there is a different rather this is the area of information. So we are flooded with lot of information. So I will not add just only to the information. I will like to clarify some concept so that it will be helpful for us in tackling this COVID crisis. So my flow of presentation will be, I will begin with plasma, why this COVID plasma is important nowadays, how it is actually collected with the help of this apheresis technology, who can donate the plasma, various criteria for this, what are the current recommendation about plasma therapy, so some guideline about it, usual questions about ABO compatibility of plasma, then how the process it starts of getting the plasma, and secondly, usually most asked question about female and plasma donation, vaccination and plasma donation. So I will like to cover these points. As we all know that blood is a tissue and it contains different cellular parts and the fluid part, and that fluid part we call it as a plasma. And in that plasma, there are different protein, water is the main constituent, but here I will like to press that there are antibodies also. as against there are different nutrients and all these things. So here we are looking for the antibodies that are present in the plasma in COVID plasma therapy. So why to donate plasma, or why plasma donation is currently going on? So definitely we all know that in this pandemic, or in if there is any emerging infection where we are not knowing the disease progression, the treatment, sure shot treatment, the drugs, vaccines. So when they are coming, so in this transient phase, this convalescent plasma has a role, and it has tried a way back. So historically, it's a very old technique of using convalescent plasma. It was used in various diseases like polio, mumps, measles, influenza in the past. And in the recent past, we can say in H1N1 influenza, SARS, and in African countries in Ebola, they have tried this convalescent plasma in a bigger way. So considering the current scenario where still in Indian continent, vaccination is going on, but it has not covered a large population. We don't have a clear-cut, say 100% efficacious drugs. Like in SARS, we got the Tamiflu and the scenario changed. So currently that is the limitations over here. And hence, in various countries, this convalescent plasma was used. In the initial phase, it was used as a clinical trial. There are different outcomes of different clinical trials, but internationally, they thought that we should, yes, judiciously use this convalescent plasma. And hence, in different countries, it was used like a investigational new drug, or in India, it is called as off-label use. Means it is not categorized as a drug, but you can use as a drug. So in India, it is called as off-label use of plasma, that is convalescent plasma. In Western, in US, they call it as an investigational new drug. So say in US, they have a very stringent guidelines and protocols. So they, in the initial phase, they started as a national expanded access treatment protocol, so that each and every clinician who wants to use this plasma therapy, it should be available to him so that he could able to treat the patient. So there are different protocols used in US. In India, it began with a clinical trial led by ICMR. It was a phase 2 trial, and they have involved numerous centers all across the country. But their findings were not, so they have come up with a conclusion of this trial that convalescent plasma therapy did not lead to reduction in progression to severe COVID-19, or it could not able to reduce the mortality. So they have come up with these conclusions. But there are some trials which has shown that it has proved efficacious in treatment of plasma. But since considering the Indian context, we should know about this ICMR trial and their outcome. So they have used this plasma, the sample size was 464 patients all across India, and they tried with a moderate kind of disease. There are different trials that are there internationally where they have found if in appropriate phase judiciously, if it is used, it was useful. So I will not go in detail of that. But on that background also, ICMR has come up with a guideline in November 2020 about use of convalescent plasma in India. So this is the most recent guideline, national guideline, that is available with us for using this convalescent plasma, collecting and using convalescent plasma in India. So they have suggested about who can donate the plasma. So usually the normal blood donation criteria are there. So they should fulfill those normal blood donation criteria. That is one thing. And they have also mentioned that the age group should be 18 to 60 with at least 50 kg weight of the donor should be there. At least 28 days after last whole donation. If he has donated a blood, then after 1 month, he can donate the plasma. And second, if he has donated a plasma before, then after 15 days, he can go ahead. The routine guidelines of the hemoglobin criteria, at least 12.5. Routine platelet count, which is normal, is 1.5 lakh. So that is one of the criteria. And other important things, since this plasma donation procedure is different from whole blood donation, vein selection is very important. So proper large prominent vein is required for plasma donation, which is very, very important. And motivated donor should be required, as this is a procedure, it takes around half an hour. So it is connected to the machine. So motivation of the donor plays a very crucial role. So, and there are some specific selection criteria, eligibility criteria. One important thing is that the person should be diagnosed as COVID on the basis of either it should be he should have a RT-PCR positive report or a rapid antigen test positive report. So if both the reports are not there and only antibodies report is there where they have a IgG or a total antibody, that report is there. So currently the ICMR guideline doesn't allow that person to donate. He should be diagnosed as a COVID, is there one essential part. As far as gender is considered, there are limitations about female plasma donation. We will discuss it later. But in a scientific word, we can say a nulliparous female can donate a plasma, and all male can donate in that 18 to 60 age group. So that is an important thing. Second important thing is that the person should be free from any symptoms, COVID symptoms. So after he is free from symptoms, 14 days is the minimal deferral. So 14 days asymptomatic person can come ahead and donate. So in a way, we can say 14 days of isolation or quarantine and 14 days of deferral. So after any positive referred RT-PCR or an antigen positive report, one can donate plasma after 28 days. In the beginning, like in those days when ICMR trial started in May or June, at that time, we don't have this testing facility for IgG antibodies. In the initial phase, we have selected the donor, just he has got some symptoms and collected the plasma. But later, this testing facility is available. So nowadays, there is one more stringent requirement about the concentration of IgG antibodies. We know that there are IgG and IgM antibodies. IgM will come as an initial response in first phase, and later IgG will come. So IgG where we are looking for, so those antibodies should be there. And they have given the criteria about if you are using a ELISA platform for detection of antibodies, then what should be the titer? And if you are using a chemiluminescence machine, then what should be the titer? Usually in most of the good centers, they are using this chemiluminescence or CLIA platform, and 13 AU is the criteria for cutoff, say we can say, for selection of the plasma donor. So that is a new addition. In the beginning, when we started, my center started in 1st of June. So at that time, all these facilities were not there, but now we were following this now. If we could able to determine the neutralizing antibody, so that will be the best thing. But the availability of neutralizing antibody titer is a challenge in Indian scenario. So they have mentioned it as 1:80. should be titer for the neutralizing antibody. But what we are observing in most of the center, they are doing this this IgG test by CLIA with a, so it is a semi-quantitative test that is being used routinely. So if we want to focus on where it should be used, then as we all know that in the early stages of the disease, this should be used. So ICMR says that patient should be in the early stage of the disease, 3 to 7 days from the onset of symptoms and not later than 10 days is what they have given guidelines about selection of patient. Secondly, where it is possible, if you could able to test for IgG of the patient, and if they are they don't have antibodies, then it will be a great thing. But again, it is a limitation. All the centers, all COVID care centers are unable to get this test done. So that is again a challenge in India. And there should be a different informed consent from the patient. So these are the guidelines given by the ICMR about selection of the patient. In our educational program, we usually focus on the limitations also of this therapy, that plasma therapy for COVID is just safe. So all the clinical trial across the globe have not questioned about safety of the plasma therapy. They if you want to consider no harm principle, then this plasma therapy is totally safe. About efficacy, there may be a differences of opinion. As we know, there are differences of opinion about remdesivir also. But usually, in early phase of the disease, this should be focused, and definitely plasma is only a supplementary therapy that we must remember as a limitation. So I will like to focus on the plasma collection part, that is by apheresis technology. So in initial phase, there will be an evaluation of the donor by history, by eligibility criteria, then proper vein selection. We'll collect the donor sample and screen it for antibody, CBC, serum protein, and TTI markers, transmission-transmitted infection markers. And depending on the result, we will select the donor for actual plasma donation. So this is just a photograph of a machine which is used. It is called a cell separator or apheresis machine. And the donor is connected to this machine. All the sets that are used are disposable set. So blood never comes in contact with air or external environment. So it is totally safe, and the set is used. It is a one-time use set. So there is no harm to the donor and patient. So the collected plasma, usually we target to collect 400 to 500 ml is collected in individual donation, and they are divided into 2 packs of 200 ml, and they are labeled differently. About repeated plasma donation, that is a question asked very frequently. When one must remember that you can donate the plasma every 15 days if you are satisfying all the eligibility criteria. If your antibodies are persistent, then you can donate the plasma every 15 days. So and at that time, this plasma protein estimation will be of importance. So that should be done for repeated plasma donors. So this is a simple procedure. The blood comes into the machine. So machine has a centrifuge. The centrifuge will make a layers of plasma, cellular components, and a buffy layer in between. And then plasma will come out, and rest of the blood component will be again reinfused to the donor's body. So there will not there is a only minimal loss of red cells, WBCs, and platelet. At the end, what we say that in that set, 15 to 20 ml blood remains outside. rest other is reinfused to the donor. So red cell loss is negligible per se in plasma donation. So this centrifugal force is used for separation, blood is drawn. Anticoagulant, as you know, time-tested ACD is the used as an anticoagulant for which is a content citrate for anticoagulation, and this anticoagulated blood will come into the centrifuge and it will get centrifuged. Plasma will come out and remaining component will be again reinfused to the donor. About the safety and adverse effects, at my center we have done around 450 such procedures at my center, and we haven't observed any major reaction. Only minor reaction adverse effects are there, say, and that are because of the citrate anticoagulant that are being used. So we have observed tingling, numbness around the lip and face. That is the most common side effect of this apheresis technology. Some may face hypotension, nausea, perspiration. So, but most common is the tingling, numbness, that is because of the citrates, and not very frequent, only some procedure, and that they are also temporarily, usually get relieved in 15 to 20 minutes. So that's about adverse effects. As you are aware that there are a donor questionnaire, and nowadays it's with us. In initial phase when I joined, it was a single page donor questionnaire. Now it is a 4-page donor questionnaire with plenty of questions. It's very Herculean task for us to counsel donor that all this information that we are taking from you is very crucial as far as donor safety and patient safety is considered. So we have to counsel, motivate, and get all the information. Nowadays with COVID context, there is an additional addendum to the donor questionnaire also, and we have a separate questionnaire or consent for pheresis donation, plasma donation. It is similar to the platelet donation. So on the another part, if you want to say, if anybody wants the plasma, then the procedure is simple. As you know, whenever blood and blood component is required, and how you order is similar way it should be followed for the COVID plasma. We have to use the same requisition form that is used for any other blood and blood component. Here only you have to mention the product will be a convalescent plasma. There are difference of opinion about should we mention a convalescent plasma or off, since it is off-label, use convalescent plasma. So what to do? So clinician can safely write 1 unit of convalescent plasma. Usually 1 unit means a 200 ml unit. Sometimes blood bank has a 100 ml unit also. If they could able to collect 500 ml, then they will make 200, 200 and 100 unit. So that are there. So you can write that 1 unit of convalescent plasma, 200 ml. So likewise, and please fill all the detail. It is again a cumbersome for the housemen, house doctors to fill all these details, but it's essential. So all this need to be filled. And from clinician point of view, I usually press that informed consent of the patient about this use of convalescent plasma therapy is very crucial. All the clinician must take informed consent about this use of investigational new drug, or you can say off-label use of convalescent plasma. So I would like to emphasize the need of consent from the patient. Here about usually the question is asked about which group is suitable for plasma. We know that O positive red cells are used like a universal O red cells for all the A, B and AB. For plasma, it is reverse. In plasma, AB plasma can be used as a universal. So AB plasma can be issued to A, B, AB and O. So AB plasma, if the donor is of AB in blood bank, we are very happy that that unit can be utilized to any patient, patient's demand. So please remember this about AB. And about RH group, there are misconceptions. I will like to emphasize that RH is not at all important in this plasma therapy. One can safely transfuse AB positive plasma to AB negative if that plasma doesn't contain red cell contamination. So please note that if the plasma is clear, don't bother about RH group. You can you can give positive plasma to the negative patient, or vice versa, negative plasma to the positive patient. And as far as ABO grouping is considered, for us practically AB will be a universal plasma that can be used for all group patients. So I want to emphasize, sometimes the clinicians ask on the same background of red cell use, we want O plasma for this A patient or B patient. So please remember this. In the blood bank, they conduct minor cross-matching of this plasma unit and patient sample, and then they will issue a compatible unit to the patient. So all the requisition, I think it's the same for grouping and cross-matching. We have to send a plain and EDTA sample to the blood bank along with the requisition slip. So labeling is very crucial, as we all know. I have already covered about this informed consent part. So you have to create a specific informed consent for this convalescent plasma. Usually what we have observed, infusion of this convalescent plasma, we have seen that the first dose is given as a 200 ml of plasma, and after 24 hours SOS second dose is given. So usual practice, 2 doses of convalescent plasma are recommended in all the various trials. So in all, cumulative dose will be 400 ml of the convalescent plasma. Sometimes 200 are sufficient in some studies, and some have used the protocol of using 400 ml, 200 on day 1 and 200 on day 2. So let us quickly come back to the FAQ, like female, why we are not accepting female plasma or multi. So actually the scenario internationally is that we are aware in usual routine practice also at my center and various center, we don't give female plasma to any clinical for any clinical use. And that is because what is observed that in multiparous or after pregnancy, some antibodies are developed, and those antibodies are responsible for what we call as TRALI, or transfusion related acute lung injury. So it's a known fact, scientific phenomenon, that with female plasma, the chances of TRALI, which is a blood transfusion reaction, is more. And as we are aware that in COVID, one of the important target is again a lung. So lung is already susceptible, and with female plasma, why to make it more prone for this? So internationally, the norm is that only nulliparous female are accepted for the transfusion, and that is because of TRALI. Second frequently asked question is about vaccination. So my friend, definitely, usually now those who are aware, they come and ask that I have finished my both the doses of Covishield or Covaxin, and I want to donate a plasma. So current guideline all across globe says that if there is no history of natural infection, and only the antibodies that are generated that are because of vaccination, such plasma is not called as convalescent plasma, and it is not used as a convalescent plasma. In American literature, or US FDA says that That is because it is this vaccines are part or of a virus, or they are meant to boost or create a immune response, so that whenever a virus comes, it will be useful for that. So we don't know actually antibody response, antibodies that are generated against the real live virus and against the antibodies generated against the vaccine. Are they efficacy wise same or not? So what they have recommended, US FDA, that the post vaccination plasma can be used, but currently they are using it as a trial, not as a routine convalescent plasma as a new drug therapy. So that is current scenario. We are aware that in immune system there is a cell mediated immunity and a humoral immunity. All we are talking about this IgG means humoral immunity, and we are aware that cell mediated immunity has a very important crucial role as far as fighting against COVID virus. So current restriction is that only vaccinated, the antibodies that are developed only because of vaccination, those vaccines are not considered for this. Antibodies are not considered, and those persons are not considered for plasma donation. So if there is an infection and antibodies are developed, then that is the candidate for plasma donation. So we know that, as I have emphasized in the beginning only, that there are still limitations about various drugs that are used in COVID. Say there is a limitation about remdesivir. There is a limitation about availability of remdesivir also. Vaccination program, currently we have limitation. We have not covered major population of the country. So considering all this scenario, in current situation, there is a need, still there is a need for convalescent plasma therapy, especially in the initial phase of the disease, between 3 to 7 days of the disease, so that we can try to improve the patient. He will not occupy the ICUs. He will not occupy the ventilators if you could able to use this therapy efficiously and in an appropriate way. So we have a limitation about beds also, ICU beds, ventilated bed. So this can be useful in preventing the patient becoming severe and can be helpful to improve the patient. So considering all this limitation in this transient phase, still this convalescent plasma has a role still, and it should, hence we should encourage the recovered patient to come forward and donate plasma. Thank you very much. I think I have tried to cover on a larger ground the important aspect. If any questions are there, I am willing to answer the question. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Atul, for this lucid presentation. Most of the ideas about the plasma donation might have been cleared because of your excellent presentation and clear message what you have given. If there are any questions from the faculty or from the audience, questions are most welcome. Anybody who wants to ask the question, please. Shinde sir.
Actually, I want to know what is success rate? Success rate in terms of that patient not become more serious because of this plasma in your 450 cases. Just now you told that we have done this procedure, and what was the condition of your patients, and how many patients are they safe and they are not progressed to the needed the ICU treatment?
Thanks a lot for this question, and this is what we can say in plasma therapy is $1 million question. What is the current efficacy of plasma therapy? I think the clinician who are using this, since my center we are catering to around 200 hospitals in Pune and around, so we could not able to track all the patients. But definitely mostly in KEM and Sahyadri, in initial phase when the plasma therapy was not available in their centers, the intensivists at those hospitals were aggressively using the plasma therapy. And from their point of view, they have so their experience is that it was useful, especially in initial phase of disease, as I have told. But currently, I am unable to share the statistical data because that will be with the clinician, treating physician. And in the beginning only, I have commented about the limitations about clinical efficacy about this plasma. But general consensus is that in initial phase, it is useful. And I have also seen some of the patients who were come out of ventilator. They have used all possible medications, treatment protocol, and that has not worked. But I won't claim that that will be because of plasma, because it is very difficult to comment on with the case-to-case basis. But there is no current data generated from Pune city, as we ourselves has a limitation. We are working as a standalone blood center. We have requested these 2-3 intensivists who have used the plasma judiciously and for pretty for many patients. So we are waiting that they should come up with their own clinical data that will be useful for us and for entire country.
Karne sir, any question from your side? Hello?
Babar sir wants to ask. They are new.
Yeah, Babar sir, yeah, please.
You have to unmute first.
Okay.
Babar sir, please unmute first so that I can hear your question.
Yes, sir. What are those documents? What are those documents to be kept by blood bank and this for the FDA's concern?
So as far as the FDA is considered and blood bank is considered, we have to keep all the documents. One will be our routine donor form. Secondly, the consent for plasma donation, that is the next document. FDA and NBTC have guided us for additional consent, additional questionnaire about in this COVID context. So that is a third document. So that will be required for plasma donor. Then we have to have a RT-PCR positive or rapid antigen positive report of the plasma donor. So that documents are we have to collect from the donor, and we have to keep ready the IgG report of the donor, then plasma protein and hemogram, CBC, along with our TTI markers. So these are these things that we have to keep with us. Secondly, we have to perform minor cross-match before issuing the unit. And after issuing the unit, we have to keep the patient's document. So patient requisition form and all these things with the in our blood bank. So that if at any given time, if FDA inspector comes and asks for the document, we should be ready for that.
Thank you very much.
Atul, question from my side. Have you noted any adverse reaction during your plasma donation series? Any type of, or what type of reaction is there usually?
Yeah, as I have mentioned, the most common side effect that we have observed is because of the citrate that is present in the ACD, so anticoagulant, and usually it is a mild numbness, tingling numbness around the lips, on the face. So that is the most common. And second, it will be a temporarily transit vasovagal reaction, will be a second this thing, but with head low. And some machines that we have has a facility for rapid infusion of saline in the with the machine only. So that takes care for the donor. Apart from this, in this 450 procedures, we have not come across any serious reaction. Sometimes nauseating feeling and all these things are there. But apart from that, no major reaction.
So it means it is safe to do the patient. I am attached to Jan Kalyan Blood Bank Jalna since its inception. I was an advisor and all. And I have sent a link to all my people also. They are also watching this program. So I will request you to say about the SOPs, if there are any special care while bleeding the taking the plasma or etc. So are there any special precautions or care that we need to take while taking the plasma of a COVID positive patient? Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Have you listened to my question?
Sorry, sir. There was some interruption on my side. I was not able to hear.
Yeah. Yeah, should I repeat it? As I am attached to the Jan Kalyan Blood Bank Jalna since beginning, I was and today also all our staff of Jan Kalyan is watching. So are there any specific precautions or any standard operating procedures while collecting the plasma of a COVID positive patient?
Okay. Sir, the plasma collection is similar to the platelet collection. So those blood banks who are familiar with platelet donation, so they have to make a similar SOP, standard operating procedure, for plasma, and they have to follow similar guidelines as they are following for platelet donation. So it's the same procedure. Only in platelet donation, target is a platelet, and in plasma donation, target is a plasma. So some necessary changes as far as SOP need to be done. The machine, the procedure is the same. So only SOP need to be revised for plasma donation with some minor changes. And as I have emphasized, numerous different requisites about documentation, that documentation they have to follow.
Is there any question from faculties? Any more question? Yeah,
I want to ask one question. Can we move? We are having our branches at mostly every district place. Can we motivate our president, secretary of that district place for arranging such type of activities or plasma donation camp like that?
Say from my side, I think all the blood bank fraternity will welcome this move from Maharashtra Orthopedic Association in this critical phase where though there are different views about use of plasma, currently we are flooded with demands for convalescent plasma. That is the only truth I know. I usually daily get around 100 plus phone calls from various medical fraternities who request for plasma for their near and dear ones. So if the Orthopedic Association can take a lead and motivate the recovered patient, those who are eligible, that they should come forward, it will be a great help till all the medication drugs are available. Here, currently, what we are observing, in first wave, we were getting the demands where the patient age was 60, 70, 65. Currently, we are getting the demand age is 23, 25, 31, 40, 45. We are flooded with the demands. So if you can take any initiative, Maharashtra Orthopedic Association, that will be very great help to the society right now.
Definitely, we will take lead and we will ask our local president and secretaries to contact the blood bank and mobilize the people. In Jalna, we are on the behalf of IMA, we are having a tele-counseling group where along with all the questions, we are promoting the people for plasma donation also. So this has been started since 7 days and it is getting the tremendous response. Yeah, we'll ask our local branch president and secretaries also to mobilize this. Yes, madam, you want to ask question? Unmute yourself, madam, first. Unmute. Unmute first, yeah. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Can we store this plasma for 1 year? Kulkarni sir, please.
That's true.
As our can you store it and later on can we issue it to the patients?
Yeah. Current guidelines means though there are no currently Indian guidelines as such about storage of plasma, but international guidelines and what we are observed, since it is similar to fresh frozen plasma, we can definitely collect and store it in deep freezer below -30. Ideally, it should be a minus for extended storage. The recommended temperature will be below minus or up to -80, but below -30 storage.
Hello. Hello. I think there is a network issue from that side.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
I think I could able to
Yes,
answer
you can
your
listen.
question.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So you can very well collect and store it. No problem in that. Definitely.
Okay. Thank you.
Any more questions? If there are no questions, thank you, Dr. Atul Kulkarni, for enlightening us on this very important topic in this today's unprecedented situation. Plasma therapy has been a boon for COVID patients, especially in the early phase, and definitely this effort will help people to get the plasma on time. I request so we will conclude with the question and answer session here. And if there are any questions, you can ask to me or you can ask to Atul directly. He can answer anytime. So I will request our President sir to say a few words on this occasion. Shinde sir.
It was an excellent webinar. Dr. Atul has brilliantly guided us in the use of convalescent plasma therapy for the management of COVID-19. He has covered almost all the aspects. I am sure it will motivate as said by Dr. Shikedar, us to take plasma donation camp across the Maharashtra state under MOA. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Karne sir. Hello.
Well, I thanks Dr. Atul Kurni for his lucid lecture, which, as Honorable President Dr. Shinde sir said, that you have covered every topic and you are clear all the doubts. And we are orthopedic surgeons. You don't come directly in contact with plasma donation or whatever the process of the plasma and everything there. But then all members of our association have realized it, and we got a lot of knowledge about it now. We thank immensely for your presentation, which has covered all the aspects. Thank you very much. And I thank Ortho TV also for giving their platform for our all this MOA day as well as a week program, and all the delegates and the faculty who has attended it. Thanks.
Thank you.
So, with the permission of President and Secretary, sir, today's program is over. Thank you very much, all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Atul. Thank you.